The lights in the arena dimmed, and a hush fell over the crowd. The energy was palpable, as anticipation filled the air for what could only be described as a once-in-a-lifetime event. Two icons, two legends from entirely different eras of boxing, were about to step into the professional MMA cage. The crowd's excitement reached a fever pitch when the first entrance song blared through the speakers. Mike Tyson, the ferocious and feared heavyweight of the 1980s, walked to the cage, his head down, his eyes locked on the octagon ahead. With every step, the floor seemed to vibrate beneath him, as if the arena itself was acknowledging the raw power of the man known as Iron Mike. His usual black trunks, with the bold Tyson in white across the waistband, shone under the lights as his broad shoulders moved in rhythm with his calculated, almost predator-like walk. His sweat-soaked muscles rippled, and his gloves, big, black, and ominous, seemed to scream that his reputation for demolishing his opponents wasn't a myth. Tyson's movement was slow but deliberate, like a lion preparing to pounce on its prey. The arena erupted as the crowd realized the significance of what was unfolding in front of them. This was no ordinary fight. This was Mike Tyson, a man who had left a trail of destruction in the boxing world, now crossing over to the MMA world, a world where his power had to be translated into new techniques, new strategies. Then, the unmistakable sound of an old-school announcer's voice reverberated through the speakers, and the crowd roared even louder as the legendary Muhammad Ali's walkout music blared. His entrance wasn't rushed, it was deliberate, full of flair, and made to captivate. Ali, dressed in his classic white robe with gold trim, was more graceful than Tyson, but equally imposing. His famous shuffle added an electric charm to the atmosphere, and his swagger was unmistakable. This was the man who once danced his way past the greatest boxers in history, and the man who was known for his speed, strategy, and charisma. Ali stood in front of the cage, a look of confidence and experience etched across his face. He had been in the biggest fights and defeated the best. Now, he was here for something different, an MMA fight that would test every ounce of his mental and physical fortitude. He wasn't here to just be an athlete, he was here to prove that his legendary footwork, speed, and strategy would give him the edge against a beast like Tyson. The two titans stared at each other, sizing up their opponent, both sizing the other up with intense focus. As they finally stepped into the cage, the air seemed charged with electricity. The referee called them to the center of the octagon, giving each fighter their final instructions. Tyson stood motionless, barely acknowledging the referee as his eyes locked on Ali, while Ali, with his usual charm, shot a wink to the crowd, maintaining his air of invincibility. "Protect yourself at all times, obey my commands," the referee instructed. "Touch gloves if you wish." Tyson barely flinched, his gaze never leaving Ali. Ali, on the other hand, gave a theatrical smile and raised his gloved hands, tapping them together in front of Tyson. The fight was about to begin. The bell rang. Round 1 began, and the atmosphere in the arena was electric. Tyson immediately stalked Ali, his every movement calculated and deliberate. His signature crouch, combined with his low center of gravity, allowed him to move forward like a predator looking for its prey. Tyson's punches were explosive, thrown with vicious power, and the entire octagon seemed to shake with each step he took. Every muscle in his body was prepared to end this fight quickly. Ali, though, was no novice to pressure. His style was that of finesse. He danced around the octagon, his head and body constantly shifting, never staying still for too long. Ali moved with the speed and fluidity that Tyson, despite his strength, could not match. Ali's jab was quick, precise, and seemingly effortless, and he used it to keep Tyson at bay, never allowing him to get close enough to land a knockout blow. Tyson's early strategy seemed clear: close the distance, land a big shot, and make Ali pay for any mistakes. Ali, knowing that Tyson's power could end the fight with a single punch, focused on wearing him down with movement and precision strikes. He maintained the perfect distance, always staying just out of range of Tyson's devastating hooks, his footwork so nimble that Tyson couldn't pin him down. In the second round, Tyson's patience began to wear thin. He tried to press forward with more urgency, knowing that Ali's movement would make it difficult to catch him cleanly. But Ali's fluidity was unmatched, and his ability to stick and move kept Tyson at a distance. Tyson attempted to cut off the cage, using his shoulder and relentless footwork to trap Ali against the cage, but Ali's defensive game was on full display. He would dart in with jabs and right crosses, landing them before Tyson could even react. Tyson's frustration was evident. He began to lunge more aggressively, swinging with powerful hooks that were meant to end the fight in an instant. Ali, though, was too quick, too slippery, often rolling with the punches or slipping them entirely, making Tyson's blows glance off his guard. With each unsuccessful attempt by Tyson, Ali grew more confident, using his superior footwork to exploit the gaps Tyson left open. In the third round, Tyson's power became more apparent as he caught Ali with a short left hook. The punch landed clean on Ali's chin, snapping his head back and momentarily staggering him. The crowd gasped in unison, sensing that this might be Tyson's moment. But just as quickly as the punch landed, Ali recovered. He danced away, using his speed to create space, and resumed his game plan: jab, move, jab, move. Tyson tried to follow, but his forward pressure was no longer as relentless. Ali's body seemed to float, and every time Tyson closed the distance, Ali made him pay with precise counter strikes. The back and forth continued, with Tyson's power and aggression contrasting sharply with Ali's calculated elusiveness and accuracy. By the end of the third round, it was clear that both fighters had tested each other's limits. Tyson had shown glimpses of his raw power, but Ali's ability to avoid damage and land clean strikes had begun to take its toll on Tyson's confidence. The round ended with Ali having the slight edge in control of the pace, but the fight was still far from decided. Ali's superior conditioning and strategy had allowed him to dominate the rounds with fluidity and distance. Tyson, while clearly capable of ending the fight with a single punch, had yet to land anything decisive. The tension was mounting in the cage, as both fighters had revealed their strengths but had yet to fully impose their will on the fight. The true test would come in the coming rounds. Would Tyson catch up to Ali's elusive style, or would Ali continue to frustrate the powerful beast in front of him? The fight, with its contrasting styles and evolving dynamic, was far from over. The fourth round began with a noticeable shift in the rhythm of the fight. The early exchanges had favored Ali, but Tyson, who had absorbed a great deal of punishment in the first few rounds, now seemed to embrace the intensity. His face showed signs of wear, his left eye slightly swollen from the sharp jabs and crosses that Ali had landed with precision, but his resolve remained unbroken. Tyson had been patient, biding his time, waiting for the right moment to unleash his devastating power. The fatigue that had started to show on him in the earlier rounds was now replaced with a raw focus, as if he had re-centered himself, ready to put his will to the test. Ali, for his part, remained as nimble and elusive as ever. His footwork continued to baffle Tyson, darting in and out of range with fluidity, his punches a perfect symphony of timing and distance. But as the rounds wore on, Ali's own energy began to drain. His smooth movement became just a touch more labored, and the sheer pressure Tyson exerted, even without landing the cleanest shots, began to wear on him mentally. Tyson was like a relentless storm, always there, always pushing, never allowing Ali to rest. In the fourth, Tyson managed to corner Ali for the first time. He had done his homework, cutting off the angles and forcing Ali to move against the cage. Tyson moved in with a thundering right hook, but Ali was ready. He slipped it and countered with a beautiful combination, a lightning-fast jab cross that snapped Tyson's head back. The crowd roared, and Tyson, briefly stunned, staggered back, but only for a second. Ali saw an opening and tried to capitalize, landing another flurry of strikes, but Tyson, undeterred, returned to his feet, charging forward once more. The next few moments were filled with tension. Tyson was wild now, throwing punches with every ounce of fury he could muster, but Ali had his number. Each time Tyson threw a heavy shot, Ali danced away, using his footwork to avoid the full force of his opponent's punches. Tyson's strikes were getting slower as fatigue started to set in. Each punch was costing him energy, and Ali's precision was making it harder to land the decisive blow. Tyson was not just fighting Ali, he was fighting his own exhaustion. Round 5 brought another dramatic twist. Tyson, sensing that the window to land the knockout blow was narrowing, began to take more risks. Ali, whose confidence had grown with each slip and counter, seemed to sense this shift in Tyson's approach. As Tyson lunged with another huge hook, Ali expertly ducked under it, sweeping behind Tyson with a near-perfectly timed move. Ali landed a sharp uppercut to Tyson's ribs, followed by a right hook that landed flush on Tyson's jaw. Tyson's head snapped back again, and for a brief moment, the unthinkable seemed possible. Ali had him hurt. But Tyson's resolve was unyielding. As if summoned by the crowd's roar, Tyson dug deep, finding the reserves to shake off the pain. He clinched with Ali, looking for an opening to land a short, devastating uppercut. They exchanged knees in the clinch, with Tyson's power taking a slight edge. Ali, while still elusive and fast, began to show signs of slowing down. His breathing was heavier now, and Tyson's punishing clinch strikes were starting to take their toll. Round 6 saw a dramatic back and forth as both fighters adjusted their tactics. Tyson, now fully aware of Ali's brilliance in the counter game, opted to slow down the pace. He stopped rushing forward, waiting for his moment. Ali, sensing a slight shift in momentum, continued to press the action with his jabs and feints, attempting to keep Tyson at bay. But the accumulation of punches was starting to show on him. A bruise was forming on Ali's cheek, and his left eye began to swell, a testament to Tyson's relentless pressure. A key moment came with just over a minute left in round 6. Tyson feigned a jab to the body, and as Ali reacted, Tyson exploded with a right hand that landed squarely on Ali's temple. For a split second, Ali's legs wobbled, and the arena held its collective breath. Tyson's eyes widened with excitement. This could be it. He pressed forward like a man possessed, throwing hooks and overhands with everything he had, but Ali, the master of survival, found a way to weather the storm. He moved back, using his legendary reflexes to slip and duck, just avoiding the worst of the damage. Tyson's frustration was mounting as he continued to swing, but Ali's resilience held strong. Round 7 opened with both men clearly feeling the effects of the fight. Tyson's punches, though still strong, were coming slower, while Ali, though still sharp with his jabs, was visibly slowing. The crowd could sense that both men were nearing their limits, and every punch thrown carried the weight of this epic battle. Ali, known for his conditioning, now began to show cracks. Tyson's relentless approach had finally taken its toll on the man who once floated like a butterfly. A right hook to Ali's body elicited a grunt, and he stumbled backward. Tyson closed the gap, firing a hard body shot that doubled Ali over briefly. Ali grimaced, his ribs feeling the pressure of Tyson's explosive punching power. But Ali, in true form, fought back. He fired a jab cross combination that snapped Tyson's head back, reminding everyone why he was called the greatest. Tyson, though stunned for a moment, quickly recovered, his eyes narrowing as he saw the opening for another wild flurry. The cage seemed to shrink as the two fighters circled, each knowing that the end could be near. In the final moments of round 7, Tyson threw a massive overhand right, his power evident in the ferocity of the shot. Ali, knowing the danger of staying in the pocket with Tyson, slipped under it at the last moment, responding with a counter left hook. It landed with perfect timing on Tyson's chin, and the crowd erupted as Tyson momentarily staggered. He regained his balance quickly, but it was a reminder that the fight was still anyone's for the taking. The round ended with both men battered and bruised, but neither willing to relent. Ali was still light on his feet, but there were signs of wear in his movement. Tyson, although slowed, was as hungry as ever, waiting for that one moment to change the course of the fight. As the 7th round came to a close, the arena buzzed with excitement, with every fan on the edge of their seat. The fight was far from over, and with each passing round, the tension only built. Would Tyson land the killer punch that had made him famous, or would Ali's brilliance and heart carry him to a victory? Both fighters had shown glimpses of their greatness, but the war was far from decided. The final rounds were sure to bring even more drama, more moments of brilliance, and perhaps the decisive blow that would crown one of these two legends as the victor. The final rounds began with the unmistakable intensity of two warriors who had given everything in the previous 7. The 8th round felt like the last lap of a marathon, where every step, every punch, was a test of heart, resolve, and willpower. Tyson and Ali, both visibly exhausted, came out of their corners with the knowledge that only 3 rounds remained to determine who would walk out of the cage victorious. Ali's movements were more labored now, his footwork a little slower, his jab a bit less crisp, but his eyes were sharp, his mind focused. He knew that Tyson's explosive power was the last obstacle standing between him and victory. Tyson, on the other hand, was a wounded animal, his body marked up with cuts and bruises, his breathing ragged, but the hunger in his eyes never wavered. Tyson had come to dominate, and despite the mounting fatigue, his instinct to end the fight with one devastating punch remained his driving force. The crowd, sensing that the end was near, erupted in cheers as both fighters cautiously circled each other. They had seen the battle, the ebb and flow of this epic clash of legends, and now they were holding their breath, awaiting the final moments. Ali threw a sharp jab to Tyson's face, but Tyson countered with a brutal body shot that took the wind out of Ali for a split second. It wasn't a knockout punch, but it was a reminder of the power Tyson still possessed in his fists. Ali grimaced, but quickly recovered, his eyes narrowing as he swiveled away from another huge overhand right by Tyson. The fight was slowly becoming a test of endurance. Ali, who had long prided himself on his conditioning, had to dig deep now. He slipped in and out of Tyson's range with his footwork, but the damage from Tyson's hooks was starting to slow him down. Tyson, too, was fading, his punches slower, but still full of the ferocity that had earned him the title of one of the most fearsome punchers in boxing history. They clashed again in the center of the cage, exchanging wild hooks and uppercuts, neither one willing to back down. It was in the 9th round that Tyson, sensing his window was closing, ramped up the pressure. He forced Ali into the cage with an onslaught of left and right hooks, punctuating each strike with explosive power. Ali's defenses were starting to show cracks, his head snapping back with every Tyson combination, but still, the greatest refused to yield. He ducked, he moved, he countered, always with that unrelenting belief that he could outsmart Tyson and keep him at bay. But the blows were adding up. A huge left hook from Tyson landed clean on Ali's jaw, causing him to stumble backward, and for a moment, it seemed like Tyson might have finally found his opening. The crowd went wild, sensing that the fight was hanging by a thread. Ali's legs wobbled slightly, his arms heavy, but his heart was still in the fight. With the adrenaline pumping, he responded with a perfectly timed right hook of his own, catching Tyson flush on the chin. The sound of the punch reverberated through the arena, and Tyson, who had been on the verge of landing the knockout blow, suddenly found himself on the receiving end of a brutal counter. His eyes glazed for a second, but he shook it off, his mouthpiece flying as he gritted his teeth and pressed forward again. With the final round now upon them, both men knew this was their last shot. Tyson had one last chance to deliver a knockout punch, while Ali needed to dig into his reservoir of championship spirit to maintain his lead. The crowd was on the edge of their seats, the commentators' voices rising with each exchange, building the tension. The arena buzzed with anticipation. Who would break first? Round 10 started with both fighters already exhausted, their faces swollen, their limbs aching from the brutal exchanges. Tyson lunged forward with a desperate right hook, but Ali, now truly showing signs of fatigue, stumbled slightly but still managed to avoid the worst of it. He quickly followed up with a jab to Tyson's eye, exploiting the swelling. Tyson, frustrated by Ali's evasiveness, swung wildly again, but his punches lacked the same power as before. Ali, almost instinctively, pivoted and countered with a quick left-right combination that landed cleanly on Tyson's face, opening a cut above his right eye. Tyson's energy seemed to drain out of him, his legs heavy and his arms sluggish. Ali, ever the tactician, kept his distance, using his jab to control the pace. The crowd roared in approval as Ali unleashed a final flurry of punches, his hands moving like a blur as Tyson covered up, trying to absorb the incoming barrage. Ali's jab found its mark again and again, creating a rhythm that Tyson could no longer counter with his usual devastating hooks. As the final seconds of round 10 ticked away, Tyson, now unable to land the knockout blow he had been chasing all night, sagged back against the cage, breathing heavily, his chest heaving. Ali, still upright, still moving, continued to work the jab, keeping his opponent at bay. The bell rang, and the fight came to an end. The crowd erupted into applause, a mixture of awe and relief filling the arena. Both men had fought with everything they had, but it was clear the battle had taken its toll on both. As the judges' scorecards were collected, the fighters stood in the center of the cage, their bodies battered but their spirits unbroken. The commentary team was already hyping the incredible war they had just witnessed. The decision was a long time coming, but the tension in the arena was palpable. Finally, the decision was announced, Ali by unanimous decision. The crowd exploded with cheers, acknowledging Ali's brilliance and his ability to outlast Tyson's aggression. Tyson, though visibly disappointed, showed respect to his opponent, nodding as the referee raised Ali's hand in victory. Ali's face was a mask of exhaustion, but behind his eyes, there was the pride of a fighter who had overcome yet another legendary opponent. He had dug deeper than he had in years, proving that even in the twilight of his career, he could still outsmart and outlast the fiercest of competitors. Tyson, though defeated, left the cage with his head held high. His performance had shown the world that his power was still one of the most feared weapons in combat sports, but it wasn't enough to overcome Ali's brilliance on that night. The fight was a testament to both men's legacies, a brutal and beautiful dance of skill, power, and heart. It was a battle for the ages, and while the result may have been decided, the significance of the fight would live on in the minds of fans and historians alike. As the two fighters left the cage, battered but dignified, the crowd chanted their names, honoring the spectacle they had just witnessed. This wasn't just a fight, it was a chapter in the history of combat sports that would be talked about for generations to come. For both Tyson and Ali, the battle had been one of their finest hours. They had given everything mind, body, and spirit.